All right, let's dive into a philosophical journey today. We're going to chart a course that takes us from let's say, the ashes of rebellion all the way to the fire of creation. We're going to explore what it means to go from being an anti-hero, someone who's really just defined by what they're against, to becoming a true creator, someone who's defined by what they can build. So our journey starts right here with this figure, the anti-hero. And this quote just nails it. Their identity isn't really their own. It's a reaction. It's forged in this fire of opposition, a psychological state that philosophers call ressentiment. In short, they know exactly what they hate, but they have absolutely no idea what they truly love. And this leads us to the anti-hero's great big paradox. See, they often win their battles. They're great at shattering old icons and tearing down traditions. But their victory feels hollow. They become this kind of king of ash, just ruling over the ruins they made. Their power comes from saying this massive holy no to the world, but that very negation, it becomes its own kind of prison. And this, right here, is such a critical distinction. The anti-hero, they achieve freedom from things, from rules, from traditions, from masters. And look, that is a vital first step. But they get stuck there. They end up shackled to the debris of what they just destroyed. They haven't yet discovered freedom for something, the freedom to actually build a new purpose in that space they've cleared out. Okay, so let's really lock in on this key term, resentment. Think of it as a psychological trap. You've successfully rebelled, you've won, but your whole identity is still so fixated on the enemy you defeated that you're basically chained to their memory. Your rebellion, which was once your greatest strength, just kind of curdles into this hollow victory because it never moves on to create anything new. So how does this trap really work? Well, the anti-hero builds this invisible fortress around themselves. It's a defense mechanism, right? To protect them from the sting of personal failure. And the bricks of this fortress, they're made of bitterness and blame. They start externalizing all their struggles, pointing fingers at society or the system or whatever. This victim mentality, it's a very comfortable script. It's self-soothing, but it just traps them in this downward spiral of isolation and eventually nihilism. But there is a way out of this self-made desert. The philosopher Nietzsche actually offered a kind of roadmap in his parable of the three metamorphoses, delivered by his prophet Zarathustra. And this is where we see the big pivot, the turn from a life defined by no to a life that's empowered by yes. So Nietzsche breaks this down into three stages, three metamorphoses. First, you've got the camel. This is the dutiful spirit, the one that carries all the heavy burdens of tradition, the spirit of thou shalt. Then, that spirit transforms into the lion. That's our anti-hero, who says I will and destroys that old dragon of tradition. But the final and most powerful stage is the child. This is the spirit of new beginnings, of the sacred yes. This contrast, it's really the heart of the whole transformation. And this, of course, is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you actually make that leap? I mean, it's one thing to have the lion's strength to tear everything down, but it's something else entirely to have the child's innocence and courage to build something brand new from the ground up. Well, the answer lies on what we're calling the creator's path. And this isn't about finding some pre-existing truth out there in the world. Nope. It's about inventing a personal one. It's about forging your own values in the very space that was cleared out by the lion's defiant roar. So how do you get there? Achieving this sacred yes really requires a moment of radical honesty with yourself. It means you have to take full ownership of your story. You have to acknowledge that the shield of victimhood is actually a self-imposed prison. And to break free, you've got to forget old grudges, and this is the hard part, you have to discard the crutch of blame. And this becomes the creator's mantra. Instead of seeing themselves as a victim of their past, the creator looks back at their entire life with all the chaos, all the suffering, and declares with absolute conviction, "Thus I willed it." They literally transform fate into choice. They take complete ownership and impose their will on their circumstances. You can really think of this whole process as a profound act of alchemy. It's about taking the poison of suffering, the bitterness of that ressentiment, the nihilism of the void, and transforming it all. You're not eliminating the hardship, you're converting it into purposeful struggle. And this right here is the ultimate goal, to become what Nietzsche called the overman. But don't get it twisted, this isn't about conquering others or the world. The real victory is internal. It's the conquest of your own disgust, your own bitterness, your own nihilism. That is where the real power is. So let's end with this final, really potent image. The journey from anti-hero to creator is all about this incredible transmutation, turning the heavy, dead weight of nihilism into the light, dancing gold of a self-propelled, self-defined life. And the question this leaves us with is this: what no in our own lives do we have to move past to finally discover our own sacred yes?